So we get there, then we get a place yokulala lapana.
So accused wakho besingabanje naye.
Yeah, he was yena that day when I was shot, yena was handed over to the police because mina insisted ukuthi ngizile. Yena he handed himself over to the police. You understand? Because not, we were three, remember. One ran, we lo khona ukuphuma. Then the other one lo adephethe imali, we was handed over to the police. We were 3 years ngene lapha, and then one managed to escape, but washigani yakhe ngaphakathi. You understand? So going to court, the first gun was found after 7 days. The second gun was found after 6 months. You know, some of these places, they are no longer existing, you know. They are group, they are companies that the group of companies joined together. They have had to exclude these shops, these companies, due to say there was too much losses of money, you know, because then there was no, I'm a safe at color, because I'm a safe as key. So when you get into a place, you get a key, you get a man, you understand? It's not now like there is a drop safe, you understand, that needs codes and stuff like that. So that time it was just, so they had so much loss. So going to court, then from hospital to court, then court, we started attending, then they said no bail, you understand, because it's a Schedule 6, you understand? It's robbery with aggravative circumstances, so they can't give me bail. So we tried for 19 months, and in that process of 19 months, there was in the jacket that I had, remember when we were in that place we were robbing, there was a jacket I was wearing, I took it off, you understand? And in that jacket, there was a photo that it's me and my other 2 friends, which one, he is part of the team, but he was not on scene that day, you understand? Then the other one is just a friend whom we chill and drink together, but he looks alike the one who ran, you understand? The height, the color, you know, the chubby face, you understand? Except ukuthi lo balekile, yena ucabile, you understand? And the law agacabang, but because of the same complexion and height and texture of Fulando, they took this photo and showed it to the complainants, and they said, no, nalo, you know? Then they had to bring these people, you understand, Baba Buise, to the case. And then the other one is working, we're working with people who are also working with the government. So this other one was working for a Department of Agriculture and on the high position. At the same time, he's a robber, you understand? It's not like Azutina, we were doing that thing because we don't have a backup, you understand? But it's being selfish, just want to have extra. So they brought him, and when he put on the docket, his statement was saying, Mina, I know everything, you understand? He's calling my name on the docket that, no, so-and-so knows everything, you understand? So he trialed alone then until they release him, I don't know what lies. Then this one who was brought thinking that is the guy who ran and is not. In the process of time while we are trialing, we are in a trial, he end up writing a letter to a prosecutor and telling the prosecutor the whole stories that we've been talking langa pagati, you know, in the trial section. Uguti, no, these people, they know and they've done this and so, Mina, you know, excluding himself and exposing us to the law, you know, giving them sensitive information. And when we went to court, then they released him and they left us, then Sakulu, my case. Then I was sentenced 15 years, which was a shock to my mom and myself, you know, and my co-accuser was sentenced 15 because he had another previous case, which it was for a gun. So in that case, he was also found guilty, was given 3 years. So me, I was found not guilty for the guns because the guns, they were not found on the same day, you know. due to different days being found by the employers, or of that places which we robbed, So they already touched those guns, put their fingerprints on them. So it was not traceable that who owns that gun or
Source.
it is the source because now of the fingerprints. So they said not guilty. But then in that process, there was so many cases that came out, those cases where they came out, other complainants of other places, they came in, then we had to be led to parade. And that time I had an afro, so I had to cut my hair, and try to do some tactics with it. They must not be able to identify me. Good enough, they couldn't identify me, none of them. So other 7 cases, they were dropped, then I was left with this one, and guns were dropped, but then the armed robbery on its own, it gave me 15 years, So before, while we were going to attend the case, they checked and found that I was still 17. I'm not qualifying to be in Sun City. So they moved me to Diambo, place of safety. Diambo is in Krugerstop. They moved me to Diambo. Diambo, it's a place of safety. It's like there's rooms, where like everyone who is under 18 who commits crime, it goes there. Then there's workshops there, electric workshop, welding, building, plumber, chapel, all these things. Then there's one kitchen where there's big place, there's ground. It's like a crèche, where if you're under 18, you go there. So a lot of things we seen there and a lot of things happened there, that there was a lot of fights there, because you have to maintain. You remember me now saying I've been living a life with elder people. Now if I'm thrown into my age group, which mentally and way of seeing things and doing things, we're no longer in the same level. I will always want to do things different. So that is what sparks, armor fights and all this, So then after when I turned 18, then they moved me back to Sun City. Then we trial for 19 months, which is 1 year, 7 months. Then when I turned 19, that's when they sentenced me, So, going to P3.
And why back sentence always bill? You said that it's back shying 15.
Yeah, it's the same sentence. I was like showing that, remember when I spoke about trial from hospital to Sun City for a trialing, you understand? Then they discover while we were still going for a trial, see a court, they discover that I'm under 18. Then they had to move me to a place of safety, you understand? But it's still the same trial, you understand? So we undergo until I turn 18. That is why maybe they made us to try long, until I turn 18. Then they moved me back when I was 18, back to Sun City. And then they push, then they started talking the case after I turned 19, you understand? Then 2001, I was sentenced 15 years, October. Then I had to go to P3 to serve my sentence. Then even there, because I was 19, I arrived at P3 like maximum, and then they find I'm still under 21, you understand? So I have to be taken to P1. P1, it's single cells of everyone who's under 21 who is sentenced, you understand? Maximum sentence, you understand? Then there is a section of the mediums, then all other sections, it's maximum, you understand? So at P1, there is a lot of activities that are happening, There's a lot of activities that are happening, that there is causes that people, the officials, they will bring to us. It's different from P3. So we attend those courses. So there, I got a job to work in the library, so I'll read around books and my mom will bring me books, So to articulate my writing and my reading, So I became a delegate where the social worker, we started doing motivational speaking. So like speaking with the youth who are coming from outside, the matriculants, they'll bring different schools who are doing their last years in the high school matrix. Then they'll be there and we motivate them. So I became that person who was one of the top motivational speakers, in the building, because it was not things that I've learned much. It's tactics of, taking a bit of what I know and twisting it in within me of, looking, having different perspective of things. Then, like I'm a person who always, everything that happens in life, I always want to find something that is going to groom me, motivate me out of all my mistakes. What is it that I've done wrong? And what is it that I've learned from my wrongdoings? And how do I adjust myself to become a better person? Because it makes me feel guilty of failing myself in certain things. I could have done better, There's things that we do, and at a later stage, you regret, why did I do that? Sometimes there's things in life, zenzayo, which you feel like if I can only reverse, certain moments of my life, I will twist and change certain things and acts that I did that have brought me a negative outcome. So prison for me, it worked somehow in my favors because I discovered myself. And I got enough time to find my purpose with certain things and my way of approaching things, with how do I deal with things. And in life, it needs me ukuthi ngidile nayo kanjani, you understand? Ngingayenzi izinto just because of peer pressure or being influenced by certain people or ukhalela izinto zabantu, and then you want to have them knowing good at that time is not the right time for you to have, because you cannot be able to afford those things. Sometimes ukwamukela, to accept the condition and the situation, it makes it easier for you. Mina, as stubborn as I was, nobody, people, reality check. People, they must just call a spade, not a garden tool, People, they portraying prison somehow in a way ukuthi it makes ukuthi babona ngazathi everything that happens in prison, it's your choice. You understand? If when you fall into gangsterism, it's not a force, it's a choice. You understand? Because you have a right to decide. You understand? Abanye, even inside and outside, it's the same thing, the pressure. Abantu bane peer pressure even nangaphakathi. You understand? Thola ukuthi umuntu akhona ukuzibamba. You understand? Ukuthini ayekela ukuthanda izinto. You understand? Abantu abaningi, they get into these things ukuthanda izinto. You understand? So it's the same applies, Ilan. Mina, I never joined this thing because I don't wanna move in a manner ukuthi ngithembela abanye abantu. I've grown up believing to my own self ukuthi if it is to be, it is up to me, not to the people who are backing me up. So abantu in prison, you'll find ukuthi others, they will fall for that for a backup, So a prison, it's a choice that you fall into. Even these people end up being abafazi in prison. It's a choice. You understand? Uthanda izinto. You understand? Because he cannot be able to get izinto, ukhalela izinto zabantu, ufuna ukuthi bamnikeze ugwayi, bamuphe insangu, bamnikeze ukudla. You understand? Then bazokunikeza lezo zinto lezo whoever lozobe ukhuluma naye, but yena in return uzofuna now return the favor. You understand? No, it can never be a force. It's just a threat. You understand? Ukuthi umuntu akunikeze something, it depends ukuthi wena your confidence injani, wena your character as a person. You understand? Ukuthi how do you react into things? Because somebody can give you things and then at a later stage he says, good to wenzeni. You understand? So some of the people, due to the portraying of prison to them before they even came to prison, you understand, they're already in fear. You understand? And worse when they are there, you know, when they look at everyone there, babona nje, "Oh, hello, mkhelekheleke, some danger," you know. So for me now, I've learned one thing about life. I don't learn life. I learn people, characters in people. So because once I'm able to understand a character of a person, it's easier to understand life, because life is influenced by the characters of the people who are living within this life. So I'm very good at reading people's characters and how to deal with and how to approach and how to, you know. So I always do my things on my own, my way, you know, without involving other people and telling them that, hey, ngifuna usizo ngento so, you know. Like especially when we're in prison, you know, I was making sure to bega in prison. There's one statement they say, "Bheka itikiti lakho." You understand? So kusho ukuthi bheka indaba zakho, you know, don't jump into endabeni zabantu. You understand? So in prison at that time when I was in P1, 2002, while we're doing these delegates motivational programs for the matriculants, I end up embracing Islam, you know, and becoming a Muslim, you know. And in that year, just 3 months after I've embraced Islam, with me studying Islam and getting to know the information of what is Islam and stuff like that, I was elected to be a leader of the Muslims, you know. We were in the hall and we just finished giving motivation to the youth, and then we were chilling with other inmates. Then just while I was talking, something just stopped me, which it is God who stopped me from that conversation I was having with other inmates, and I just kept quiet and find myself walking towards one of the guys who was a Muslim among the inmates, and I asked him, how do I become a member? He said, no, you shave your armpit, your public, you know, and you cut your nails, then you take a bath on the Friday, then you come to the church, then we're gonna embrace you. You know, then I did that, you know. Then I got there, I became a Muslim. Then 3 months down the line, it was the month of Ramadan, then we started the fasting, and I was also elected as an Amir, a leader of the Muslim. Then most of my time in prison, like for 6 years, I've been a leader of the Muslim. Everywhere I go, you know, I will become except when 5 years later, when they moved me from maximum to medium. When I get to medium, Nakona, I became a leader of the Muslim, but then they throw me in the draft, you understand, a transfer. You know, then they took me to Betal. That prison, it's nasty because it's underground, you know. It's underground and there is no exercise. Exercise, maybe it's once a week. You go to a courtyard, you know, and ngaphakathi in this prison, we are served by ladies, you understand. You know, ikhishi lakhona, you have to udishe lapana and eat there, you understand. And it's not like other prisons where like they will separate due to what you don't eat pork, we are Muslim and stuff. Lapana, everyone dishes there and you must eat there, you understand. Ubuyela in your cell, so that was a fight we had, Mina and the officials, you know. No, it's a month of Ramadan and I will be eating later, I can't eat now, you know. So it was a fight, and the extension of that fight went even, they trapped me. One of the officials, I confronted him because it was fine. My people could not come for a visit. So I always had options and solutions of all the challenges by doing what? By phoning my people on a public phone and asking them to send me airtime. Then they send me enough airtime. Then I approached this official. I said, listen, I'm going to give you airtime, 150, you know, and when you take that 150 and buy me cigarettes, you know, then you bring them in. Hey, that guy, he said, okay, I'll see you later. He went, with my airtime. He went straight to the head of prison and reported me with ngifuna ukumcorruptisa ijele, so due to le ndaba yasekitchen futhi ukuthi I insisted ukudlela ekitchen, like who is this is trying to be stubborn, and this thing at time, then they had a solution ukuthi no akabuyele emuva. So I stayed 1 month eBetal. Then they took me back to Sun City. So Sun City, for me, it was just a place whereby I had all the excesses of things like phones. From maximum, I had a phone, but then that phone, young fagin because one of the inmates wangibimba, then amaphoyisa avula ijele. Now I'm 6, and they asked for me, and hey, they broke my gum. Even today, I've got a broken gum, which even that teeth I keep, it's painful at times when it's cold. So they opened the prison and took me out. They asked for a phone. They beat me. And what they did, they put insimbi la ezandleni and bafaka ama-bandage. So mabekushaya ngempama kuneyinsimbi vele. Shuthi bakushaya uzwe ngathi kuduma igenerator emadleni. Hey, bangishaya, then my gums were cut ngaphakathi, like some of the pieces of my gums. Then end up they find the phone fine, and then immediately I had a phone. That time I was different because when I was coming from floor lesithandazela kuyo, I had the phone in my pocket, you understand? And then ngashayisana nephoyisa yaphuma ifone yawo, you understand? It fell on the floor, and me and the policeman just chased after the phone, There was another case, but that one, it was easier to solve because of the level of understanding now, the place. You understand? Good be a maximum sense medium. Then I had to give him something, pay him, and keep the phone. So medium, I became like I had a cell of my own. So I was the one looking for abantu mabengena. I make sure that I place them in the zokulala, they report me, I put them on the list. Yes. I was a cleaner, knowing good man, and so there was expanding of connection due to my approach of things, because now I was starting to calm down, starting to rectify my wrongs, starting to become in many things that I felt ukuthi I made mistakes. I was trying to rectify them by being the reflection of what I want to become, to the inmates and to the society, which I was already a medium, which I'm about to go out. So, I don't want to go out with that mentality of because I saw with whatever that I did, it was a pressure of my background, with my mom could not afford and stuff. And Nami, I had to do whatever that I did to put an addition or to be able to fuel some of the things that we didn't have at home, so that we can be able to have those things. There is many dangers that can happen because as I was a leader of the Muslims, there was a time for Ramadan whereby some of the brothers were Muslims, which they are also in the gangsterism, due to the laws and rules that I had to implement, according to the codes and conducts of Islam, they had to dispute them, you understand, due to say they want to go to and so there was a time they end up ganging up against me, taking padlocks, these big padlocks, wanting to attack me, But then they failed, due to in the gangsterism, there are stages, ziphezulu, inombolo yabo, you understand. But they failed due to my way of dealing with a situation, because I always have my way of dealing with a situation, ukuthi this, do I have to act up or just to back up, So it's between the two, would you act up or you back up, you understand? So as in izinto, you just let them go like that, you understand? Because you're looking at the bigger picture, ukuthi my reaction, you understand, what will be the outcome, you understand, mang actor, so you understand. So as in izinto, it's where a life in you learn ukuthi not everything that happens around you, it needs you to respond to it or to say something about. Sometimes it's those things that I always tell people that the highest level of wisdom is silence, you understand? Because in that level, people, they will ask you questions which you cannot answer in words. It might make you sad to think that they don't understand the voice of your silence, but that is your highest level of wisdom. Uguti, you avoid, Uguti, when you speak or you act on something, the response might not be according to your expectation, and it might lead to more of arguments and whatsoever. So keeping quiet, you cutting izinto eziningi, like you cutting the tree from branching out, you understand, and creating branches that are not necessarily needed in that tree, you understand, and the leaves and the fruits, whatever that it will bring, it's not things that are needed. So being silent and be observant, of whatever, you confuse whoever that is involved in that situation, because they don't know would uthule ngoba uplana something, or uthule ngoba is letting it go. So by being silent, you become a threat, you understand, because there is a question mark to a person ukuthi le ithuleleni le, maybe ngicabangela manga, you understand? So it's one of the tactics ukuthi ezinye izinto, just to get over them, to avoid, keep silent.